zahvaljujem gospodinu Baričeviću na ovom uvodu i zamolila bih gospodina Steliosa Piperidisa da nastavi sa svojom prezentacijom European Language Resource Coordination Workshop Aims and Objectives. Gospodin Piperidis je s Instituta za obradu jezika i govora iz Atene.
Dobro jutro. Good morning. Kalimera. This is in my language. First of all, let me thank you on behalf of ELRC for accepting our invitation to join this workshop and participate in the discussions. We have launched a Europe-wide effort to aiming to improve in the immediate but also in the long-term future the connection between European citizens, between our peoples and their languages through improved technology. This is exactly the topic of today, how one can achieve this, how we improve the connection between our peoples and our languages through improved technology. We've put together a program that we hope, we believe, is interesting, but it will become even more interesting through your active participation in the discussions that we've spread out in different places in the agenda. Before starting with my presentation, I would like to thank my dear colleague and friend, Marko Tadic, from the University of Zagreb, Faculty of Social Science and Humanities, for making an immense effort, investing quite a lot of time in making this workshop a reality in rather short time, I would say. I would like to thank Branko Baričević for hosting us here and Marina Petric for being instrumental in many visible and invisible ways in making this workshop a reality, and I really believe in the end a success. So, I would like to start with my slides, which are here, right? So, in today's turbulent times, many times, we have to look at maps, and many maps are being presented on the media, in presentations, etc. But I would like to show you a map that is of particular interest for us today, since we are all people that have an interest in dealing one way or another with language. So this is a map of Europe, pretty well colored, but here we do not have the colors do not depict the borders or anything like that. They depict the languages that people use when they tweet for their daily interests, comments, things like that. So these are the languages that in Europe that people use. And it is more or less obvious that there is a flow, and one, if he wants to transpose what is on the slide to today's reality, he can easily imagine that this map is even more colorful today for various reasons. So, Europe is fundamentally multilingual. We have 24 official languages, and in the CEF program that we will be discussing today, we have 2 more languages, Norwegian and Icelandic. So in total we have 26. And we're really proud of these 26 languages that really reflect the rich tapestry of European cultures and European identities. And this is what the European Union and the European Commission and all the institutions strongly support. Now, support is just one word, simply because it is clear that nobody speaks all languages. And if we want to support multilinguality, we have to make sure that languages do not create silos or yet another type of border. They do not create invisible borders between us. They do not restrict the mobility of people or the mobility of information, the mobility of ideas, and of course, they do not restrict commerce within the European Union territory. So what we have to ensure is that there is no language discrimination for whatever sort of activity, but there are equal opportunities. Now, how do you do this? So far, we've been doing it with translation, and today we also do it with translation. And the late Umberto Eco once, when he was once asked what is the language of Europe, his firm reply was translation. And we do know that translation is an extremely skilled profession, but we also know that while translators are finite in number, there is a tendency for a rapid increase of the masses of information that stand out there and wait to be translated. So there is a lot to translate. It is the social media, it is the World Wide Web, it is all this modern way, if you want, of living in the digital society that creates new demands. And what do people do in the digital society when new demands come up? They turn to technology. This is what we do when we have complex calculations. When you have huge rows of numbers and more complicated things to do than just additions, but even sometimes with additions, you open an Excel file and you keep everything there and you do everything in a sec. When you want to be orientated in a city, a new city, you may ask yourself, oh, why don't I open my Google Maps on my mobile phone? It will be easier, and then I follow with the GPS where I am, etc. So, more or less the same thing happens today in the area of translation. So, what we aim at is human translation that is supported, as many other activities, by technology. We aim at automated translation. A bit of history. Automated translation has been around in the European Commission and in the other European Union institutions for many years. Computer-aided translation was the way of work inside the Commission, inside the DG translation for many years. Recently, there was, if you want, a shift towards a further modernization of the way of work inside the Commission by developing a system that is codified as MT at EC, which is machine translation at EC. I will tell you how this machine translation at EC works in a minute, in just one sentence, and then later on in the day we will have another presentation dedicated to MT at EC. What I wanted to say here is the following. There is a big distinction between what has been going on at the European Commission level and at the European Union institutions level so far and what we're trying to do now. So far, technological support was targeted towards the European institutions officials. So it was a tool that the Commission people were using for improving their work, improving the conditions. Now, in this CEF.at platform, what we're trying to do is something else. We try to widen, first of all, the scope of use. We try to widen the scope of use of these translation technological support tools from the Commission to the public administrations, ministries, governmental organizations in each and every member state, and of course through them to us, the citizens. Now, when you broaden the scope in anything, you may need to adapt. And how do you adapt? Just one word about how modern MT works. There will be many more focused talks on this later on. Modern MT, which you will also hear as being referred to as statistical machine translation, is like our kids. Our kids pick up the language through interacting with us, through listening to what we say, through interacting with the environment in a unimodal or multimodal way. Okay? So, statistical machine translation works more or less the same. It learns from human examples. It learns from human translations. So, you feed the system with the way you have translated something, okay? So you tell the system that this is my source, this was my source document, and this was my translation for this source document. Then you do the same. What can you learn out of this example? So it is like statistical machine translation is like a kid. It learns from human translations, and it is these human translations that we will mostly refer to today as data. Now, imagine that you have something very specific to translate, something in the biotechnology domain, or something in the legal domain, or something in extreme, exotic technological application. If you want to translate such content, then you would need to have examples of translations of similar content. Okay? Otherwise, I mean, it wouldn't work. So, since we want to widen the scope of machine translation use to the public administrations and us, the citizens, what we need to do is to feed the system, to train the system with examples of translations that come from us, the citizens, or from you, the public administration representatives, and of course, later on, users. So we need the best data. And the best data for MT that you will use is the best data that you will give. Without the right data, it's simple, it will not work. Imagine if we taught our kids language in the wrong way. I mean, they would simply produce it in the wrong way later on. So that's why we're here today as ELRC. ELRC stands for European Language Resource Coordination Mechanism, and what we're going to do is to feed the self-automated translation platform and all the DSIs, the different applications, the different services in which machine translation will be integrated with the relevant language resources for all official languages in order to improve the quality of all digital services that the public administrations and us, the citizens, will be enjoying later on. What are our principles, the ELRC principles? We hold these LR coordination workshops in all CEF countries, so we run 30 workshops. Today it is our 25th. It is our 25th workshop. We have 5 more to go. ELRC does not impose anything. It acts as an interface, it acts as a broker, it acts as a facilitator between the member states, the national networks, let's say, and the European Commission. We aim at one thing, resource identification and collection, but we will not own anything. Everything that is collected is your ownership and the ownership of the European Commission later on when they use this material to train the system. For this very purpose, in each country we do not work alone. In each country we work with national experts. We have a tandem of national experts, or if you want, national anchor points. We have a technical national anchor point, and for Croatia this is Marko Tadic from the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, University of Zagreb. And we still wait, and we hope that it will be pretty soon, to have a representative from the public sector, what we will be calling the public sector national anchor point for ELRC. So we'll have this tandem, Marko and the technical national anchor point personified in Marko and a public national anchor point. ELRC also works hand in hand with the local DG translation offices. So in this case, we work hand in hand with Marina Petric as the local field officer for DG translation here in Zagreb. So there will be 3 people who will be understanding Croatian excellently: Marco, the public national point, and Marina, and it will be myself and my colleagues from ELRC, since we have the responsibility for Croatia. What we want to do today, first of all, we want to raise awareness about the value and importance of data. This is something that has started becoming a reality, and people are getting conscious of it in many different areas. And I think it is high time we realize that the data that we produce on a daily basis, monolingual or multilingual, carry with them a very big value. We want to engage you and your institutions in the identification and sharing of data for the purposes of CEF.at. And it may be the case that in this process of identifying and sharing, there are a couple of issues, a couple of questions of technical or legal nature. We are here to help. We hope that we have set up the right mechanisms that can provide the right answers to your questions. And in the end, what we want to do, what all this process culminates in, is just data sharing in order to improve translation services and translation quality. The agenda, we have, in the morning we have general talks about what is the situation of language policy and language technologies in each and every country. So here today we will talk about Croatia, then we will see what sort of multilingual public services already operate in Croatia. And then we will have more technical talks, very interesting and presented in a very exciting way on how modern automated translation works and how public institutions can benefit from what we're building right now, CEF.at. And this presentation will be given by Stelios Piperidis through a video link with the Commission in Luxembourg. Now in the afternoon, we will focus on what data, exactly what types of data are we after here, okay? So there will be several examples of data that are really useful for machine translation. And then we will talk about the framework, the legal framework, based on which we have launched this operation. And later on, we will have ample time for discussion. Here I would like to conclude by presenting you our motto. And our motto is that supporting our languages is supporting Europe, and supporting Europe is supporting our languages. Thank you very much.